Benjamin Franklin once said, "Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." This may be one of the most well-known proverbs, but it seems to be the opposite of what most people think. Perhaps it should be, "Early to bed, later to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." It is time students like us are heard and granted our hopes and wishes that schools everywhere should begin later. Fortunately for us, research has been conducted, and there are several concerns that correlate with early start times and can be detrimental to one's health. According to Paul Kelly on August 1st, 2014, sleep deprivation leads to reduced concentration, attention, productivity, communication, all in which are crucial in a normal school day. So how does one learn if they can't concentrate, aren't attentive? It's simple, they can't. The majority of school districts and education systems have failed to recognize some of the health issues and academic performances of their students because of school starting at 7:30 a.m. In order to help people like ourselves, it is vital that we discuss the problems, causes, and solutions of our education system, in which, according to Need Today from September 20th, 2015, claim that students' poor concentration is because of behaviors and laziness. It is time to prove this wrong. There are many concerns surrounding the idea of pushing school times back, such as athletics and bus tour routes, which is understandable. But for the well-being of a student and their brain, these concerns are the last of our problems. What happened to being concerned about health and academic performance, or the success of America's future? A study that was conducted through the National Sleep Foundation in 2010 reported that 80% of adolescents in the United States were getting far less than 9 hours of sleep during school nights, which is the recommended amount. With a later start time of only 30 minutes, there was an increase in sleep on school nights of 45 minutes. So why is sleep so important? Because adolescents run on a different biological clock, and according to Paul Kelly from the same article I mentioned earlier, during adolescence, biological changes dictate sleep duration of 9 hours and later wake and sleep times, a phenomenon found in other mammals. It is time for educators to realize that teens are not just lazy, but it is human nature and part of our biology that can cause these issues. The CDC explained on August 17, 2015, that sleep deprivation could lead to higher obesity rates, depression, and even car accidents. Health is an important aspect, as noted earlier, but when one's health and morale is low, their performance comes down with them. With school start times as early as 7:30 a.m., students are less attentive and therefore have difficulty concentrating and understanding, and as a result have lower grades. In addition to the problem of grades, in February of 2014, a study done by Kyla Wallstrom showed schools that had greater delays in school start times also tend to see the greatest decreases in tardiness. So one might ask, well, what does tardiness have to do with one's academic performance? Well, if a student is late, they may miss important material, thus creating a negative effect towards their grades come exam time. And therefore, the problems associated with early start times for adolescents are due to the school boards, legislators, and educators' lack of knowledge and concern. There is poor understanding of how the body works and functions. Throughout our educational careers, it is likely that one is required to take biology or anatomy. I know I was. But maybe it is time to freshen up the minds of people running our education systems. There is much more to sleep than closing our eyes at night, such as the science behind it all. The National Sleep Foundation explains in one of their articles that adolescents have later circadian rhythm timing, which was discovered due to melatonin, a hormone produced by the pineal gland, being secreted at later times than any other age groups, causing adolescents to naturally fall asleep later. Therefore, a later start time would align more closely with their physiology. It appears that faculty and parents are not aware of the benefits academically that can occur when school start times are delayed. From an article written by Education Next in March of 2012, It was revealed from a previous study that by delaying school by just 1 hour, students' standardized math and reading scores increased by 2 to 3 percentiles. From an outsider, this may not seem like a big deal, but as a student in high school who is wanting to succeed to a university, these points matter. Considering this topic has a conflict of interest, it is difficult to come to a common ground about what should be done. However, for those who support later school start times, the best thing for us to do is talk with school boards, superintendents, and legislate a change. A map provided on startschoollater.org shows that California, Nevada, Florida, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Maine are the only states that are showing some sort of legislation towards having later school start times. So what about the 41 other states? It seems not much is being done. And unfortunately, according to govtrack.us, posted on March 5, 2015, by Zoe Lofgren, a U.S. representative, introduced legislation that would study the relationship between school start times and adolescent health. With the title of Z's to A's Act, it was supported by the National Sleep Foundation and the School Start Later Incorporation, and finally introduced to Congress on September 19, 2014, but unfortunately was not enacted. So what can you do? Well, as a student myself, I can relate as well as many of you. As a parent, you want to make sure your child is healthy and doing the best they can as far as academic success. It is time we take this seriously and talk to our state departments or education systems and let them know the facts and research to support these issues. The health and well-being of students across the nation needs to be noted as a top priority. Academic achievement can no longer be ignored and must be put on the list of one of the many problems this country faces. From the points I made, hopefully it is clear what the problem is, the causes of this problem, and a potential solution to fix an aspect of the education system. Emily Richmond says it best herself in an article published August 17, 2015, that we have to convince school systems this has to happen for the health of kids. It's not a negotiable school budget item, it's an absolute requirement. So with that, let's get to work.